Okay.
Good evening and welcome to the first of three meetings this evening. My name is Dennis Buckley, Mayor of the City of Beech Grove. This time we will convene the Board of Sanitation. In a little roll call, I will introduce all participants. To my far right, Dave Harrison. To my immediate right, Dan McMillan, our Clerk Treasurer. To my immediate left, Craig Wiley, our City Attorney. And to my far left, Sandra Seward, also a member of this board. Board members, you've been presented with the minutes. Floor is open for comments or questions.
No comments.
If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve as presented.
Make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye and the motion carries. On to the approval of claims. First docket is wastewater manual claims. Tonight you have one page of claims in the amount of $8,992.84. Floor is open for questions.
No questions.
No.
If there are no questions, I'll ask for a motion to approve as presented.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye and the motion carries. Now we'll look at the wastewater regular claims. Two pages in the amount of $37,466.64. Floor is open for questions.
I have a question, please. About halfway down on page 1, business art and design. There were sewage signs and decals. One amount was $27,000. The other one is $645.
$2,715.
Yes.
Okay.
And the one right below that is $645.
Oh, okay. For the stickers for the totes.
Okay.
And how many stickers was that, Brad?
Somewhere in the neighborhood of 4,000.
Okay. On page 2, at the bottom, you see gecko roofing, purlin replacement, and insulation. Purlin replacement is part of the bond issue. And the insulation is in the work area out at DPW. That comes out of sewage works.
United Consulting, is that part of the bond?
Was that the bond? The United Consulting for the
That was
road design stormwater. $7,677.
That's also bond.
No.
No. And I questioned the gecko roofing because of that being paid out of the utility. I didn't think that was bond.
No, that wasn't bond. That is out of sewage works because that was a sewage works building. $2,603.
And the one below it for $9,802.50
was out of sewage works. That's the installation.
Again, not bond, right?
No, not bond. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve as presented.
Make a motion to approve as presented.
A second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye and the motion carries. Old business, there's no old business to bring forward. New business. Brad, do you want to comment on the auction?
Good evening. We did have an auction last Saturday and it was very successful. You know, you guys approved that purchase of the two new trash trucks, which have worked out tremendously for us. And then we auctioned off all the old trash trucks, got a very good amount, I think, for all of them. We were all actually pretty surprised at the overall dollar amount that the auction raised. I think it was $116,000 total, and that included a few items from the police department as well. But very successful. We got basically good bids on everything that we put up for auction, and it allowed us to create a lot of space now to bring in some new trucks and hopefully look to rejuvenate this fleet that's kind of been, denied that for quite a few years.
All right, if you could just stand by for just a minute. Bob, did you want to approach the board?
This is for leaf pickup and stuff.
Yep.
Good to see you. Good to see you. Bob White. I am a resident here in Beech Grove at 332 Temple Grove Way. And I just had a question. I had a few questions regarding the heavy trash pickup, leaf pickup. And before I go into that, I just want to congratulate you guys for finally getting a trash truck and getting the right kind of trash trucks. And I know I was a part of that previous administration for that stuff, and I'm just glad to see you guys have got some good equipment. So, but I have had some conversations here with Brad and regarding leaf pickup, and I'm trying to figure out the mixed signals are being sent, or it seems like are being sent regarding, we got a note on our totes that basically says one thing. I had a conversation with Brad, nothing bad, and it was just, hey, are you guys doing away with it or not? Because as I've gone around and talked to a few people within our neighborhood and along the south side, it appeared like that you're trying to do away with it altogether. And so we're just trying to figure out, if you are trying to do away with it, it's going to put a lot of strain on the people that are all in that whole district over there that have lots and lots of trees. And so it was more or less of, were you guys on the board going to try to entertain having any kind of meetings with the general public into discussing any alternatives to that, or to working with us on that, working with neighbors down there that have got a ton of leaves? Because as you all know, with me being a former board member, I'm looking at it as, if we do a whole lot of bagging of leaves, those trucks are going to be making a bunch of trips just taking leaves down, and we're going to be paying for that. So I've just got some concerns on that part of it. The other question I've got is, I noticed on our sanitation's bill, there's a little bit, and granted the bill's bigger than this, but there's a little note there that says that, that we're going to start enforcing blah blah blah, the Beech Grove Ordinance Chapter 9, or Ordinance Chapter 96 for heavy trash pickup. Again, have you guys discussed what those rates are going to be, or what those bills are going to be? Because I went through today and printed out the ordinances on what's chargeable, what's not, and that is still so antiquated that it talks about refrigerating, things being picked up for $3 and $2, and I don't think there's a person in this town that's going to worry about paying $3 or $2. That's great, but also ties up in with this. There insinuates in some of, it's 96.05. It discusses something about debris pickup and different things like that. Some of that seems like it can be very subjective, and I don't want to see this guy being put in harm's way of going, well, is this a $10 pickup? Is it a $25 pickup? One day it may be 25, the next day it may be nothing. What's going to constitute? And that's one thing that I have harped at the council for years to get their teeth into, of helping fix that ordinance. I don't think people in this town are opposed to paying something, but it has the appearance right now of that if leaf pickup's going to go away, what's next? Are you guys all of a sudden going to pop up at the last minute and go, well, we're not going to get this, we're not going to get that? That's what, that's why people are here in Beech Grove, is because we have some of these things that no other towns have. So those are the few things I've got right there. I'm open for other, to speak individually or whatever, but I think the citizens, there's a big misconception out there of whether this is going away or not.
Well, before I turn it over to Brad, Westler forever in 3 days has advised the city. This goes back to when Warner was mayor, when Joe was mayor, I don't know about Terry, to get out of the leaf picking business because it's not friendly to the environment. It's dirty. The yard waste that will go into the storm sewer. Okay. Also, Bob, you know as well as I do, the equipment that we have out there is just absolute junk.
Mhm.
And we try to get the leaf machine. On the sticker, it didn't say we wouldn't pick it up.
Well, I understand, but
We've tried for the last 2 Mondays to go out and pick up leaves with the machines. One of them keeps breaking down.
and is
So-
the machines bad itself, or is it just because sticks are getting into it? Because Lord knows, I went out and picked up leaves many a time.
No, the
So
one
I
we keep
knew
having
what-
trouble with continually overheats.
Okay.
And then we just had to invest thousands of dollars in the impellers of the other one. It's just junk. I mean, you've seen them out there.
Mhm. I'm aware of it.
So we either make an investment of $60,000, $70,000 or try to lower the amount of leaves that we pick up.
And I think from what I've seen just by looking around the city, some of that has happened.
And I'll defer that to Brad. And another thing is the heavy trash pickup and brush. We pick it up for free, but if you look at on the dockets, we're paying $2,500, $3,000 a month to raise to get rid of this stuff that we pick up for free. Somewhere along the line, we have to offset that cost.
And I understand that, but I think that the council or the board needs to go, this is what it is. As Dan smiled when I said it, pick up a refrigerator for $3. Well, you can't pick it up because it's got Freon in it, number one, so you gotta have somebody that's certified. But if it is okay to pick it up, I think everybody's gonna be putting $3 refrigerators out there all day long. That's not right.
No.
I don't think the citizens of Beech Grove are unwilling to pay for some of the stuff. It's just, get it right. It kind of goes back to the building ordinance and stuff. I don't think people are opposed to that, but get the things that are right in there.
Brad, thanks, Bob. Does anybody else want to speak on it? Come on up.
Yes, sir.
Hello, good evening. Ron Luzon, Timber Grove Way, Beech Grove. I want to touch a little bit on what Bob had to say. I want to give another perspective that maybe you're not looking at. Our program, the LEAF program, is a program we use in our neighborhood very aggressively. We have big yards, we have a lot of foliage, and for myself, it's a great season. But what's going to happen, I feel, with Beech Grove, if we do away with the program, I want you to start thinking, I'm going to put some questions out there for you maybe going to ask as board members. If we go away with the program, what's going to happen, people are going to be less aggressive about picking up their leaves. I understand we have a time frame when we do pick up our leaves, typically November to mid-December, is that correct? And in the spring, are we going to allow, if people wait to pick up their leaves, then come spring, are they going to be able to continue to bag their leaves and put it in the hopper, or even outside the hopper, and will they be picked up? In the spring, will that take place? Because if now it sits out the hopper now, is it not a charge? If the hoppers are full, is there going to be an excess charge in the spring?
I don't think the hoppers are you talking about the toes?
The toes.
I don't think so.
Okay, well that's fine. But I want you to also remember budgeting wise, you just paid off an end loader at $25,000. And that budget was rolled back. You did roll that budget back at $25,000 for fiscal year 2013, is that correct?
I think it's still in there.
It's still in there. Could that $25,000 that's already in your budget be used to purchase another vacuum system and a truck?
Could.
It
But I
could.
think they're more inclined to based on the recommendation of the director, to purchase a dump truck.
Okay. What pulls the vacuum truck around now? The vacuum machine now? Is there?
There's one dump truck, and I don't know what the other one they use.
Okay.
I would have to defer to Brad on that.
Okay, well, I look at the concerns from a budget standpoint. If the leaves, the way I understand they're handled now is they're packed up in the vacuum truck, they're put in a dump truck, and they're taken over here off of Ritter Avenue, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's correct. Okay, so if we're gonna have to bag our leaves, and these guys are not within the confines of Beech Grove now, they're gonna have to haul those leaves across town, which is more tonnage that we're gonna have to pay for as citizens, like Bob touched on. So, more wear and tear on our new equipment versus the wear and tear that's going to take place on a vacuum system that's only going to have to go maybe a mile or two, and we can get rid of them real quick. There's going to be a quicker turnaround, the way I feel about getting the leaves vacuumed up now.
May I add to Ron's comment? Brad, did you say we just made $116,000 off an auction? Can we use that money and turn that around and?
Well, that's what I'm getting at.
Okay.
I'm working my way there. Because for someone that does budgeting, I understand you have new trash trucks, so your budget, your operating costs are going to go down for several years. You've got that built in, I hope, into the budget, that you can offset that cost and get other equipment in that's in disrepair up to repair. I hope that we can take that money that's been allocated for the repairs over the last 5 years with the old trash trucks, that money be put aside to update our vacuum system and maybe a new pickup truck for these guys to haul the leaves around. Because what the leaf program is, it's something that makes Beech Grove a little special. It does for me anyways. And if you're trying to change people's behavior, I think you should have a time study that goes by. Let's let this year go by. Let Brad figure out what's it costing more tonnage to haul across town to remove the leaves, see what kind of impact it has over November, December, or actually, November, December, see if that rate goes up. Then see what the impact is going to be on our equipment versus simply taking over to Ritter Drive and dumping them out that way. Then what that cost might not be worth picking up all the leaves. But if you can get a few people to change their behaviors, you have small yards and you only have 3-4 bags of leaves, yeah, sure, throw them in a tote versus raking them out. But there's also a side effect if people don't go after the leaves. They're just simply going to blow into somebody else's yard or they're going to blow into the street. But I think the way it is now, since we have a set time to pick up our leaves, which is just a couple months, which is pretty nice, people go out on a nice day and they try to get their leaves up. But if you don't have that program, people might simply just wait till the spring, they blow around somebody else's yard, because think about it, the wind does the work for you. Everything blows east in my yard. So they may tend to wait till the spring or may not do it at all. And those leaves that could be caught in somebody's front yard by them actually bagging them or taking them out to the curb, now those leaves actually go into the street. And that's what we're trying to achieve, is to keep the leaf from going into the sewer system. And I understand that. I read your flyer, and it makes perfectly good sense. But I think if we can make people aware by educating them, like that's what I thought the meeting was October 10th was about, was to educate our citizens about leaf removal, about keeping the sewer openings clear and keeping leaves off the street. I think if we proceed with educating them with our sewer letter, just put in a note, a reminder, let's get your leaves out there. And if we knew I think what would help too, if we knew when there was a scheduled leaf pickup, when the vacuum trucks were coming around. Like I know when trash day is. I know the night before I'm getting my stuff out there, it's ready to go for my Wednesday pickup. If we knew when our leaf program was coming, then I don't think the leaves would sit out there as long, because if I know I have 2 days to get them out there, I will work our tail to get them out there because they're going to be picked up sooner. If there is a scheduled leaf pickup for neighborhoods. So those are some things I'd like for you to look at, because I really do think that I was really confused with the October 1st meeting, because we came in with the let's change people's behavior, which I'm for that, if we could change people's behavior, to all of a sudden we went to, well, that program will simply go away. I personally don't want to see that program go away because I utilize it. And everybody uses it differently. There's different size additions, different size homes. So I'd hope that it's in for 13 budget. Hope it stays there till a sound study proves that either people are changing their habits or it's more costly. Okay, that's really all I have. But
Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Brad, you want to comment?
Sure. I'll try not to belabor the point too much. I think a lot's been said, but I think the one component that's really not been mentioned is we can buy new equipment, but I don't have any men to run the machines. Public Works is down to 9 guys. I send 6 guys out on trash every day. That leaves 3 guys to do everything else. So when you have 3 gentlemen that are responsible for picking up every piece of brush, delivering every tote, getting every leaf, it's at some point a little unrealistic to think that they can do it all. I currently have one gentleman that just had surgery, so he's off, so now I'm down to 2 guys. So, you know, over the last administration, everybody watched Public Works get systematically downsized, and I understand that that's where the priorities were, but at some point, things have to change. I mean, when you have 9 people, there's a limit to what you can do. I'm all for buying new machines. I'd love to have 10 guys to throw at the LEAF program. That'd be great. I think it's great, you know, but I deal in reality every morning when I look at the guys that come in and I say, this is what I have to work with. You start prioritizing, and we have gotten leaves. We try to use Mondays because we don't have trash, and so we have gotten Timber Grove a few times, and I understand where these guys are coming from. They live in the worst edition in the city for leaves. I get that. So it hits them the hardest. But they just have to understand where we're at on manpower and the old equipment. I mean, these machines were made in 1994, so, you know, they're almost 20 years old. So it makes it tough. They're consistently going down. I know the mayor's been involved in some of those discussions. I mean, we've had problems with keeping, you know, the engines running, impellers breaking. It's always something. So at some point they become a black hole for money as well. And other than Timber Grove and a few areas where the leaves are really heavy, it's been actually really successful. There's a lot of people that have bagged their leaves, which has really taken a huge amount of the burden off of us. It's been great. Most people are willing to do it. In fact, I would say the negative phone calls that I've got are really minimal, just a handful of people. And most of them do live in, obviously, an area where they're heavily wooded, where they get a lot of leaves. And I get that. We try to sympathize with those people and get out when we can to get the leaves, but on some level, they just got to understand what we're dealing with.
Were you out today? Was the leaf truck out today?
Yeah, we put 2 out today. We had to pull one back in around lunchtime, kept the other one out in the afternoon. So.
Was it a staffing issue or?
Yeah. And, you know, the other answer, somebody might say, well, do overtime. But Public Works does run a little differently. We don't compensate with money for overtime, we compensate with time. So ultimately it ends up hurting me because I offer time and a half, then it gets used back on me at a greater rate. And so at some point I'm still understaffed because you can't tell people they can't use the time they're earning, you know, because if I tell them, well, hold off, don't use your time during leaf season, then snow plowing season hits. And again, you're back to 9 people. So.
And one of your recommendations is going to be to buy a new dump truck?
Yeah, I mean, we have really one truck that we would consider to be our most useful truck. Does 4 or 5 different jobs, and we only have one. We really need another one. They're expensive, but you know, it can pull the brush truck, it can plow, it can salt. It's a kind of a multi-purpose dump truck, and I mean, it'll eat up a chunk of that money, and then we could have some left. But again, it really goes beyond just buying a new machine. Some of it comes back to having enough people to staff those machines, even when you get them. So, but I mean, our goal is to continue to provide a high level of service that you can only provide, you know, in accordance with how many men you have. So.
And Brad, didn't your budget get cut for next year?
Yeah, I mean, our budget, and I know Dan and I had some discussions when he came in, because last year, I mean, in the last few years, we've lost 5 people, and I've only been able to replace 1. And each time I have that chunk of money, like we talked, I'm told that money's going away, you know, that I'm not really allowed to bring anybody else on. So I've just watched my workforce get smaller and smaller. Mm-hmm. And then at some point, you see the effects of it, and this is one of those things. So.
Ron, did you want to?
Yeah, I'd like to add to that if I can. Sure. Well, I understand that we're cutting all the budgets. He's down manpower, I understand that. But it's still part of the program. Through his year-to-year fiscal year, he has to plan for this, which, you know, they seem to be doing a super job, which I don't have a problem with that. But the point I want to make with manpower is, if we have a LEAF program, and it is truly a LEAF program, then we need do we have a separate budget? Do we know the numbers that the hours that are allocated for LEAF pickup? Do we understand the hours that the machines are working to do LEAF pickup? If we've been doing this program for 40 years, we should have some kind of basis of how much money this program costs us a year. Manpower, equipment, fuel, time, all that stuff, overtime. So if you don't have the manpower, that's something you guys will have to work out. Get them the manpower, increase his budget, whatever it needs to take. But somewhere there, or you have to have a baseline that this program has existed, that there should be some fundamental sound budgeting over the past years. You should be able to just pull it up and say, I spent this much in 07, 09, all the way up. Through fuel costs, you have to allocate fuel costs for this. You have manpower, you have labor. There's a lot of costs associated with LEAF pickup. if that budget could be presented, because maybe the board can make a sound decision. If it's only cost you, I'm just throwing numbers out, I'm just guessing. If it's only cost you $20,000, $30,000 in labor, obviously they're doing it during a normal shift. If it's only cost you $20,000 in labor, maybe $25,000 to run the equipment, and you realize that, hey, maybe those numbers aren't that hard to keep this program, could that possibly be drawn up to give them to this board?
I would imagine Brad would be able to do that.
Okay. Well, I'm looking at it from every perspective. I'm trying to look at, this program's around here forever. And the other thing that I've heard comments from a couple of people that live around the creek that just simply said, well, I'll just take my leaves and blow them to the creek. Well, there's the cause and effect of this program if it simply goes away. People are going to blow them into the street or simply let them blow out to the street or into the rivers, wherever the case may be. So there is a cause and effect of this program going away. But if we're going to make it go away due to money, then let's actually know what the money's been costing us over a 5-10-year program. And as far as I'm concerned, if the trucks have gotten that far out of disrepair, somewhere that budget that we put money aside for maintenance on those equipment, that money was allocated somewhere else. Because you don't run a budget without every year have some type of operating expense that goes back into your equipment. You have it for your new trash trucks, I believe, I would hope. And you would think if we got that many years out of this equipment, that we pretty much would have money in the budget to go ahead and allocate it to buy new equipment. And I'm not blaming any past administration, but I hope that we're learning from these mistakes because we have equipment out there that's going to continue to age. Okay, so that's all I want to touch on that, budgeting-wise.
Thank you.
Dennis, I have a comment.
Sure.
In the summer we hire LTD Lawn Care. I think there's another one on here for an approval. Why can't, I hate this word, why can't we outsource our leaf pickup? We don't have the equipment, we don't have the manpower. Why can't we do that for 2 months out of the year?
Well, why can't you use summer, here again, Brad's department, your department, but we do summer help in the parks. Why can you not just do 2 or 3 months worth of summer help for this?
Seasonal
Yeah.
help.
Seasonal help.
Yeah.
It's a possibility. And I think it's something that we might be able to sit down and talk about.
What?
Do you have to have any kind of training to run that equipment?
Just the driver.
Really?
Well, if I can do it, anyway.
You volunteering?
I've already done my stint.
All right, we'll move on.
I'm back in.
There's no new business to bring forward this evening. Comments from board members?
Good point, both of you. Thank you. It's nice to hear from the public. Thanks.
Amen. Good.
Ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
The meeting is adjourned, 6:26 p.m. Our next meeting will be November the 19th at 6 p.m. in these chambers. We'll reconvene the Board of Works in 5 minutes. Good evening and welcome to the second of 3 meetings this evening. My name is Dennis Buckley, Mayor of the City of Beech Grove, and in lieu of a roll call, I'll introduce the participants. To my far right, Dave Harrison. To my immediate right, Dan McMillan, our clerk treasurer. To my immediate left, Craig Wiley, our city attorney. To my far left, Sandra Seward, also a member of this board. Board, you've been given the minutes of the previous meeting. This time I'll open the floor up for comment or questions.
No comments.
I don't have any.
If there's no comments, I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
My second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. We'll move to approval of claims. And the first docket is corporate manual claims, 6 pages in the amount of $621,258.79. Floor is open for comment.
No comments.
On the first page, global emergency products, $4,579. What is that, a repair of a fire truck?
What page, Dave?
Page 1. Wait, hold on. You're on manual. You on manual?
Manual claims.
Never mind. So, record. This one's okay.
Yeah, if it was a bill for Global or Pierce, we had so far this year over $29,000 in equipment repairs to engine 102. The list is pretty lengthy over the last couple months. I could research and find exactly which bill that was for, but we've had several extensive repairs to that vehicle.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Corporate manual claims, any questions or comments?
No.
If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve as presented.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Can we go to page 2, please?
Sure.
Gitco Roofing Contractors, because you are talking about the regular claims, correct?
No, corporate
No.
manual claims.
You're on manual, okay, no questions. But what you were talking about, Rob, that's on the corporate regulars, and we're not there yet, so,
Yeah.
okay.
That's what I was talking about. That's all I was doing.
Corporate manual claims, any questions or comments?
No questions on manual claims.
If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, the motion carries. Next, we'll move over to corporate regular claims. 4 pages in the amount of $191,861.39. Floor is open for questions.
Page 1, the Global Emergency Products was is that what you were talking about, Rob, for $4,579? That was repair on a truck?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Still just, those big bucks still going into those broken down trucks?
And there's still more
Still more
outstanding
coming?
coming in.
Okay, thanks, Rob.
That was the truck that was involved in the accident a couple of years ago.
Sorello Plumbing to winterize the parks? Is that the park building, correct?
I'm not sure whether that's Don Challis Park or a Hilltop Shelter area, I'm not really sure. But it's to winterize one of those restrooms.
Okay,
I thought it was for all of them.
Okay.
400 for
I
all of
believe
them?
it to be.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks. And on page 2, the Gitco Roofing Contractors. Right in the middle of the page, there's a handful of amounts, pretty significant. Are these covered under the bond issue?
Yes.
Yes. The first one, the Purlins, is a bond issue.
Okay. But all, 8 entries are from the bond? So 1, 2, 3, 4.
I think they are.
7. Yes, there are 8,
Mhm.
all bond.
Yes. The purlins are, if you have rafters, and then the purlins is the 2x4 or 2x6 that stabilizes each purlin or each rafter so they don't move. A lot of those were, when they took the roof off, a lot of those purlins were bad. They were water damaged, so they had to replace them. And we anticipated to have to replace some of those, but not as many as we've had to replace.
Okay, thank you. And still on page 2, the very last entry for Fitzgerald and Fitzgerald, $2,265 for building inspection. Is that also part of the bond?
No.
And what are we inspecting?
He's the building inspector for the city, and he goes out when someone gets a permit. He makes sure that there is a permit there, and then he follows up after the job is completed to make sure that it was done.
Okay, thank you. Page 3, please.
Mhm.
The very first amount, $2,350 for ending curb appeal.
Bond,
Is that bond?
I believe it was.
Yeah, that was for some striping in the, on some of our streets.
Or you know what that is, not bond, that's street,
That might have come out of
MVH.
the MVH fund.
Are these things that Brad's department can do?
What's that?
Indy curb appeal, whatever striping that they do?
Let's see.
That was Fifth Street. Yeah, our piece of equipment really doesn't have the capability of striping the street that long.
Okay,
Yeah, we had attempted it, and that's why they were called in.
Okay.
We tried.
I wasn't gonna say that.
But kudos to the guy that tried.
okay, Cahill's Lawn and Landscape. Again, they did what?
Winterization of fertilizer, or of grass and stuff.
For police and fire departments,
Okay.
the 3 locations.
Do they do leaf removal?
I
I'm
don't know.
serious here.
I don't know.
That might be a question. And also, almost toward the end, the treasurer of the state of Indiana, $550. Camp Atterbury usage fees?
That was for the police department, and I'm not sure what they did other than training down there. I know there was a fee involved.
And I'm out of questions. Thank you.
Dave, any questions?
No, sir.
Okay, ask for a motion to approve as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I also vote aye and the motion carries. On to old business, pension calculations. At the previous meeting, we talked about the fact that PERF dropped their contribution on behalf of the city, municipalities from 27% to 25.7%. So at the last meeting, we did a scenario of what we were currently paying, 24% for the city and 3% for the retiree, or excuse me, the police and firefighter contributes 3. Now there's a proposal out for the city to pay 22.7%, and the policemen and firemen pay 3%, which equals 25.7%.
That is current, correct?
Well, that's what was just, has been looked at
Okay,
here within the last 2 weeks.
okay.
So the floor is open for comments. I'll defer to legal pursuant to this matter.
Thank you, Mayor. As far as the calculation the mayor just set forth, I reviewed our labor agreements with our police and fire, and it appears to me that pursuant to our labor agreements, police and fire cannot pay any more than 3%. Now, a question for you, Mayor, is under the salary ordinance, what's the salary ordinance say right now? Is it 24%? Or is it, what do we have it set right now?
It's not addressed in the salary ordinance for 2013. I wanted to take it to 24.5%. The council denied that. So up until 2 weeks ago, the city was paying 24% of a first-class fireman, first-class patrolman.
I question that. I think it's 19.7% and 3% by the cities for a total of 22.7. And then they match a 3%, brings it up to 25.7. So right now, currently, the city is 22.7.
Okay, 22.7 is being paid by the city.
By the city.
By the city, okay. And then,
And then the employee has the additional 3%.
3%.
Correct.
Okay, for a total of 25.7%.
And that contract with the police and fire is negotiable. That's just,
I think what it says, unless there's an act of the council, I think that's what it says, by the common council. I think that's what both of them say. If you're asking for my legal opinion is that police and fire can't pay more than 3%. I think that's the bottom line. In the event that we do make a change, I think that needs to be done by an act of the council. but you're telling me that right now it's at 22.7. That's what the city's contribution is?
19.7 plus 3%, then the firefighters, police officers pay 3.
No, the legal agreement with the city by Local 416 contract that is binding by the city is 24% by the city's pay, and the firefighters will contribute 3%, but the city shall pay 24% per our contract. Now, the 22% and what we have figured out is based off of the information that we've learned from her since then, but it is not in the salary ordinance of change. The only thing that's in the salary ordinance is the amount it's going up to, correct?
No, it's not even in there. But what I'm trying to say is currently, this paycheck, they will pay 19.7 plus 3% of your 6%, which is 22.7.
Correct, but that was not an agreed amount through the Local 416. The agreed amount is 24% by the city and 3% by the firefighters. And it's a meet and confer after that if change wants to be done, and it says if you want the firefighters to pay more, then it has to go in front of the council to have more changed. It does not say if the city is going to pay more that it has to go in front of the council. It says the city shall pay 24%. But I have a question before all this. What did PERF say as far as the amount we've been overpaying? Did they say we just basically, not thank you very much for overpaying, have a good day, or did they say that?
No, you'll be readjusted.
Okay, so that we are going to be, I'm confused. Can you explain it to me a little better?
Whatever has been overpaid will be leveled out before the end of the year. So whatever has been overpaid to this time will be leveled out before the end of the year.
So they're giving the city a credit and we're leveling it out based off of that credit. Now, are they going back to 2010 when they originally changed this and failed to tell us, or what is the plan?
I have no idea because I wasn't here in 2010, so I'm not sure. Is that how long you say that?
Our pension base change has not changed since, actually 2010 is actually the last pension base increase. And it hasn't changed, the number's been the same every paycheck. So that's the reason I'm asking, because I don't know the answer, and I tried to call down there and got this back and forth and couldn't get a straight answer. So I didn't know the answer. I didn't know what you had learned down at the pension because I hadn't been informed.
Right. Joanne spoke with them, and I'm not sure exactly. All I know is the number is 19.7.
Yeah.
Plus the 3 is 22.7. From what time frame?
Yeah, and that's the part. I know the legislation was done in 2010 according to the legislators I talked to, but they didn't know how that worked and retro going that far back to correcting it and those type of things. And I'm just trying to figure this all out.
Yeah, I'm not sure. That's something that you would have to actually talk to her about and find out exactly what her and PERF worked out. I'm not 100% sure.
Well, that maybe who she talked to, so I can, if I have more questions, I can call and talk to them, because I tried to call down there and I'm still waiting for the phone call back.
Right.
So, do you guys like me to read exactly what it reads in the contract, or? Okay. Any other questions?
Well, I don't think the board members has that agreement. And I didn't bring it up.
Okay.
Yeah, it seems like we're having a lot of conversations between the 22.7 plus 3, the 24% plus 3, the 19 plus 3 plus 3. A contract, it's kind of hard to make a decision or even kind of consider what is right or should be amended. So I think I need a little bit more information.
Well,
from all of them.
State statute says that firefighters at the most will contribute 6%. 2009, there was an agreement done to where our pension base, we would only pay 3% of our pension base as an agreement with the city. When we did this contract in 2008, it was included in that. And that's where that number came from. At one point, the city and the firefighters were paying 27%, and so were the police, toward our pension base. Well, since then, the state made legislation to try and ease some of the burden long-term over the cities to help them with the property tax caps when they made this legislation. And when they did that, they lowered the percentage of which the city has been contributing to try and offset that a little bit. But then they released COET money to pay, the COET money increased to help pay for the pension. So this is money that's already budgeted. It's all COET money, so it has to be used for public safety. And there's strict stipulations on what we can and can't use it for, and pension is one of them. So, and that's the reason that our contract states the city shall pay 24%, and the firefighters will contribute 3%. So that's the question at hand is now we're paying a lesser percentage amount, city, and what should we do to help offset this, to make it right?
And how did we end up overpaying for this year?
It's not just been this year.
No,
This
it's
is
been
going back.
2010.
Their contract was initiated in 2010, the one you're still using. Am I correct?
Actually, it was initiated January of 2008, but the legislation was done in 2010, I believe, to offset the property tax caps that were in place.
But it's not a substantial amount as what you would think it is. I mean, it can be picked up in, well, what we got, 4 or 5 more pays the remainder of the year, and it will be picked up by the end of the year. So it sounds like it's a lot more overpayment than what there has been.
Yeah, it's like total everything for the city, for police, for the firemen alone. I can't speak for I couldn't remember how many police were pension, but it's right around $21,000, I think, for the fire side that the city is overpaid in aspects of the percentages and stuff. So it's not a great deal of money. It's still $21,000. Yeah, and the firefighters right now, you know, are contributing right around $60 a pay. I think it goes down to 58 and some change, I think, next year, because we're going to 26 pay cycle instead of 24. So the question is where does this percentage fall? Does the city pay less? And if that's the case, then what this is stating, as long as the firefighters don't pay more, but it says the city shall pay 24%. And that's the question at hand on how to handle this.
Aaron, I got a question on something you just stated, that you're going to 24 pays next year?
No, I said we're from 24 pays of the pension being taken out, we're going to 26.
Okay, all right.
No, we're not going to 24.
I was going to say, that's a new one, I haven't heard that yet.
They did not have fun with that pay cycle.
All right, board, if you would want to table this so you can think about it more, digest it, we'll table it until the next meeting, November the 19th.
I think we need a few more facts before we make a decision.
I would agree. Because I don't know that I have them all either.
This will be tabled until November the 19th, next meeting. Thanks, Aaron. Move on to new business. Chief, resignation from the fire department.
Mayor and board, let me give you a little background first on what's going on within the fire department. This year we've had the opportunity, we're able to bring on 4 new firefighters. Out of these 4 new firefighters, we did not have the opportunity to send any of them to a recruit class. During a recruit class, they received basic firefighter 1-2 skills, hazmat. They received the opportunity to go to tower training, flashover training, and complete a multitude of skills that is needed for a firefighter to progress. I would like to thank our crews. With these new firefighters we have brought on, we have been able to complete a lot of their training here on station throughout the year. The good news is Decatur Township is offering a recruit class which will last 12 to 14 weeks beginning January 7th of 2013. During this time, we're going to send one of our new recruits, Ryan Madigan, who hired in this fall, to this recruit class. Next year, we have the retirement of Joe Grant, who's been with the fire department for 30 years. So we need a replacement for Joe. And it's unfortunately to say with Decatur having a recruit class, one of our own firefighter paramedics is leaving our department to take a position with Decatur Township. With this position, had the opportunity to speak to Chief Henson from Decatur. He was very upfront with me, stated that with one of our firefighters in the process, it's a perf transfer, pretty quick process for him, and he looks to have this firefighter on his department by the end of December. I was very appreciative for the heads up. The firefighter gave me a letter of intent that he's in Decatur's process and is planning to leave. With that, I would like to request two things. I would like to request the replacement firefighter for Austin Rubon, and if approved, this firefighter will start at the beginning of the first pay period for 2013, and that falls on December 22nd this year. The base salary will be $16.71 per pay. With your approval, this firefighter will be able to attend the firefighter recruit class starting January 7th.
Do you have his resignation letter?
I have his letter of intent with me this evening.
Let's go ahead and approve it first.
And it states, Dear Chief, I'm writing to inform you that I'm currently in a hiring process for Decatur Township Fire Department. This process was started approximately 18 months prior to my employment at Beech Grove. My medical and psychological results have been forwarded to PERF and are pending board approval. It is my intent to accept should an unconditional offer be presented. I'm not currently submitting my resignation tonight with Beech Grove Fire Department, but will continue to strive to keep staffing levels in mind when the submission is warranted. He also states this is a long-term choice. It was very difficult and should not reflect negatively on the Beech Grove Fire Department. He would like to thank us for his support with his career in fire and EMS, and he's learned valuable lessons that he will carry on with him. And I did speak to him personally. He stated yes, he is going to take the job. So what I'm asking for is approval to continue with his replacement.
Heard the chief's recommendation. Ask for a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I have a question.
Yes.
Are you going to go through the interview process? Are you going to start over? Are you going to start looking at your applications?
We have an applicant candidate list who's already been through IPSP, which is the testing and interview portion, and at this point they are ready to go to their physicals through IPSP and to continue to expedite this process to get them on board by the end of December, which we're very time critical at this point.
There was a motion to accept. I need a second.
I'll make a motion.
Dave made the motion.
Okay, I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 2-0. Tell Rubon that he either works for Beech Grove or he doesn't. So you have to pass that on to him. And do you have any reason why he quit?
Yes, there are several items. One, he was concerned with the financial status of Beech Grove, and he frankly stated Decatur Township has a higher pension base than Beech Grove. He is also concerned about the salary and benefits here at Beech Grove continue. I was very disappointed. He's an excellent firefighter, excellent person, and it was very concerning. I would really hate to see Beech Grove turn into a stepping stone. It's very expensive doing hiring processes, have people take physicals, clothing, outfit, and training. It's a very expensive process, and very unfortunate that he's leaving. We lose numerous dollars in training and all the investment we have in him, and I hope that we can maintain positive and really be a good place for our employees to work and have sound benefits and retirement package.
Chief Grant.
I come before you today to ask for approval for hiring a replacement firefighter for Joe Grant, who will retire March of 2013. If approved, this firefighter will start at the beginning of the first pay period of 2013 on December 22nd. The base salary will be $16.71 per pay period. With your approval, this firefighter will be able to attend firefighter recruit class starting January 7th, 2013.
Comments by board members?
Is it in the budget to start him early? Because if Joe's not retiring till March, we're going to start him in December. So there's kind of a,
Yes,
Yeah,
we will have the additional money with Joe's retirement. We should have approximately 23,000 additional next year from the retirement of Joe Grant. I would anticipate this firefighter being on for 7 pay periods prior to Joe's retirement, which that approximate cost will be $11,697, which is well below 23,000. Correct.
Comments by board members? If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve the chief's recommendation.
I'll make a motion to approve your recommendation.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I also vote aye, and the motion carries. And I would be remiss if I didn't introduce Joe Grant. Joe, stand up. Today is Joe's last day. Joe is one of the finest people you will ever meet. And a little secret about Joe that very few people know about. Joe worked 30 years for this fire department and never called in sick. So this morning I went over before I came to the office and sat down with him for a little bit. And we did a lot of things together and had some coffee this morning, talked about it. So they're having a little reception for him this Thursday. So Joe, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Hey, Chief, did we do the one for Rubon's replacement?
Yes, you did.
Okay, all right. Move on to handicap parking permit. Michael Steele, 206 South 3rd Avenue, desires to have a parking permit special. He has a note from his doctor, and I will not disclose the medical reason. Floor is open for questions or comments.
Any questions or comments?
Motion to approve the application for parking permit.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I also vote aye, motion carries. Next order of business is LifeBridge Community. For the past 10 years, LifeBridge has distributed Thanksgiving baskets to needy families in need. In the Beech Grove area this year, we are continuing the tradition by delivering 350 baskets. We are anticipating about over 100 volunteers who will participate in the door-to-door delivery of the food items. It is our intention to stage the event from the buildings that we occupy at 626 and 702 Main Street on Sunday, November the 18th. To make the process move smoothly and safely, we are requesting the temporary closure of 7th Avenue from the Main Street intersection to the alley on the north side of Main, and Main Street west from 6th Avenue to the east side of the Moose Lodge from 12:30 p.m. to approximately 4 p.m. on November the 18th. Your assistance in this matter will help us handle distribution of food baskets efficiently and safely. Thanks for your consideration. Comments by board members?
No comments.
I have none.
Motion to approve?
Approve.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye and the motion carries. Comments from board members?
I have none.
If not, ask for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Board Works meeting is adjourned at 7 p.m. Our next meeting will be Monday, November the 19th. City Council will convene in 5